Mr. Bohr, you talked in your testimony about the United States has a healthcare system that prioritizes the important role of patient choice. I just want to present you with the case of one of my constituents and ask you about the choices that she faces. So I have a constituent who needs Eliquis. This is a blood thinner that is critical to her survival. She has priced a Medicare plan that gets her the best possible price. And that price is $350 a month. The average Social Security benefit in Connecticut is about $1,700 a month. And of course, somebody who's on Eliquis is likely on other drugs as well. So here's her choice. Her choice is to pay the $350 and go without food or pay her rent late, or not take the drug and risk heart attack or stroke. Is that the choice you're talking about when you refer to a healthcare system that prioritizes the important role of choice?
Senator, absolutely not. And in fact, I would say on behalf of all of our employees at Bristol-Myers Squibb, that is a choice no patient should have to make.
But she makes it. She makes it because you have chosen to price a drug at a point that is unaffordable.
Senator, we have priced Eliquis in the U.S. in our estimation. In fact, we try to do this for all of our medicines, consistent with the value it brings. And we're very happy with the fact that Eliquis is the leading anti-stroke drug.
Why not you put $8 billion into stock buybacks. Why not do $4 billion and instead take the rest of the money and bring the price of the drug down? Mr. Duato, I'm looking at your arthritis drug, and we've talked already a little in this hearing about the difference in price between the United States and other countries. Annual cost around $80,000 in the United States, $20,000 in Canada, $12,000 in France. Are the prices that you receive from a country like Canada or France, which look to me to be about 1/4 of the price that you get from the United States, are those prices covering your costs?
Yes, they do. To clarify, Senator, the price in the US is discounted by 70%, so the appropriate comparison would be $25,000 in the case of Stelara if you are considering that price.
Are the prices you're receiving from these other countries, so let's say France, I'll give you the benefit of your argument, France is still 50% of the US cost that you're claiming. Are those countries' prices covering your costs?
They do. The difference is that, for example, in Canada, which was the first country you quoted, Stelara, which is mainly indicated for inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's disease, and ulcerative colitis, not for arthritis, is not yet reimbursed in the public system. So Canadian patients that want to access Stelara, they cannot do it in the public system because 8 years later, is not yet reimbursed there.
So you don't identify any free rider syndrome today in which the United States is paying higher prices, allowing other nations to receive lower prices?
I agree with you that the prices in the US are generally higher for medicines, more aligned than what you are describing, as the rest of the healthcare system prices are. The percentage of pharmaceutical expenses over total healthcare expenses in the US is 14%, and that is lower than most of the advanced economies. The real difference is that in the US, patients get access to therapy, life-saving therapy, years before they do in the countries that you mentioned.
If the United States were to restrict the prices we paid, would that create a different negotiating dynamic in countries that right now, for instance, are paying 50% of what the United States pays? Would it allow you in your negotiations to get higher prices from other nations that right now are paying far less than the United States?
We believe that price caps are not the way that innovation is going to be fostered. We have worked with the United States Trade Department and with US embassies around the world to try to reject the price caps that some countries, as the one you mentioned, impose. And we welcome the support of the US government in avoiding that these governments are ultimately imposing price caps on us that are not benefiting their patients neither.
What do you say to Americans who look at the way that you allocate revenue and wonder why, in your case, for instance, you are spending $6 billion on stock buybacks, $11 billion on dividends, and $14 billion on research and development? You spend all of your advertising time talking about the research and development spend, but I think most Americans would be pretty surprised, given how much the industry talks about research and development, that you are actually spending more money shelling out money to investors and buying back stock than you are on research and development. What do you say to folks who look at that and come to the conclusion that you care much more about keeping your investors happy and keeping your executives happy than you do in researching and development the next class of drugs that's going to help regulate?
We care deeply about patients, Senator, and we care deeply about being able to discover the next medicines that are going to address major problems like Alzheimer.
But explain to me how you justify that division of dividends and stock buybacks versus research and development. You could just choose, instead of using $6 billion to buy back stock, to put that into more research and development, but you don't.
Our level of R&D investment in the 2 years that refer to the $6 billion program buyback, which were 2022 and 2023, is 6 times higher. So in that period, we invested $30 billion in R&D and $6 billion in stock buyback. So we spent 6 times more in developing cures for patients than we did in stock buyback.
Well, I'm looking at 2022 profits and spending by Johnson & Johnson, and it shows me $11 billion in dividends, $6 billion in stock buybacks, $45 million in executive compensation, and $14 billion in research and development. Can you understand, let me ask you a different question. Can you understand that one of my constituents in Connecticut would look at those numbers and think that you care more about padding the pockets of the folks that work for you and invest in you than in research and development?
Our priority is investing in R&D. We have spent $77 billion since 2016, and yes, we have to pay dividends because it's the only way that the company can remain operational and sustainable. Otherwise, if we are not operational and sustainable, we are not able to fulfill our mission of developing medicine for patients and making them affordable.
Why not you put $8 billion into stock buybacks. Why not do $4 billion and instead take the rest of the money and bring the price of the drug down?
I'm going to keep people to 7. Senator Tuberville.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for being here today.